to We Are Here Too, a podcast about mental health and life abroad. My name is Francesca. I'm an Italian counsellor living in Scotland. This season, we've been exploring relationships, the ones we have with ourselves, with others, and with the world around us. When we move far from home, whether it's across a country or literally, across the border or across an ocean, we don't just carry our suitcase with us and, we carry the invisible things too. The maps we were handed, those survival strategies, the ones kept our family afloat, and the stories about how to meet a world that is unpredictable, sometimes unsafe, and often out of control. And when life gets uncertain, as it always will, those old maps start to hum underneath everything. And so today I want to talk about family, uncertainty, and the stories we carry across distance. So let's start here. In many families, uncertainty wasn't just uncomfortable. It was really dangerous. And maybe you grew up in a home where control was the way to survive, where there was a rule, a plan, an answer for everything, where being careful wasn't about love, it was about avoiding danger, where staying alert meant you might avoid being shouted at, mistreated, or hurt. And over time, the absence of threat started to feel like love. Or maybe you grew up in a family where uncertainty was met with silence, where fear and grief and mistakes that weren't named, but you just absorbed them, and you felt the tension, the withdrawal that maybe came with it, the way certain topics could shut down a room, and you were told everything was fine, but your body knew it wasn't. And somewhere along the way, you stopped trusting yourself. You learned to seek out validation from others instead, and scanning the room, watching for signs, trying to figure out what was really going on, because if you couldn't trust your own instincts, you had to rely on the reactions of people around you. And the thing is, even when you move away, even when you start a new life, those maps don't just vanish. And trust me, I know something about this. They live in our body, in how we brace for the next bad news, in how we try to outrun mistakes, in how we plan, worry, and control, even when we are somewhere safe. Because the body does not forget. Even if our mind knows we are safe now, our body may still be on high alert. I think about it like this. We're not meant to carry everything we inherited exactly as it was given to us. We get to sort through it. Some things we can keep and tend to, like traditions or values and ways of loving that speak to us and that are kind to us and to others. Other things we can lay down, like heavy stones we don't need to carry anymore. Healing doesn't mean cutting off your roots. It means learning which parts nourish you and which parts you're allowed to outgrow. This is the tender work of healing generational trauma, learning to notice the old survival strategies, thanking them for what they tried to do, and then choosing differently. Not out of rejection, not out of anger, but out of love for yourself, out of a desire to live with more space, more flexibility, and more trust. I know this is not easy, right? It's not as simple as this is, but it is possible. And listen, I want you to do this for yourself, right? Not because you owe it to anyone, not because you have to fix your family, and not because it's your job to carry the whole burden of healing. I want you to do it so that your life becomes lighter, so that anger doesn't tire you out, so that guilt doesn't drag behind you like a heavy coat. so that love feels like a choice, not an obligation. You deserve a life where uncertainty doesn't paralyze you, where hope doesn't feel like foolishness, and where rest and joy and trust aren't things you have to earn. You know, sometimes working on ourselves does shift things. Not because it magically fixes our families, and it probably won't, okay? But because we don't get swept up in it the same way anymore. We're not drowning in guilt every time we have to make a hard decision. We're not trying so hard to earn love or make everyone happy just to feel okay. And whether, we stay close to our family or we need more distance, whether we can't make it home to visit our parents or family member, or we just know, we just have priorities changed, from before. This work can give us more space inside. It can really give you more space inside. More space to hold the sadness, the love, the anger, without letting it swallow you whole. It doesn't make it easy, just to be clear, but it can make it bearable. It can make it yours, so you are in control of your life. Not something you're carrying because you have to again, but something you're choosing with your eyes open from a place of love for yourself and for the life you are building. So, you may not have chosen the family or country you grew up in, and you may have not chosen the storms your ancestors lived through, but you get to choose now how you want to root yourself, how you want to respond when the winds pick up, how you want to build shelter both inside yourself and in the life you're creating. Life is weather. You don't control it, but you can learn to move with it. You can grow deeper roots. And even when the storms come, you can remember that you were built to bend and not to break. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to take a moment, maybe after you post this, to reflect. What are the stories you're ready to carry forward? And what are the stories you're ready to compost? You're not doing this work alone, and even if sometimes it feels that way, there's a larger web of people who are learning to live with more softness, more trust, and more rootedness. And I'm glad you're here. Take good care of yourself. Until next time.